Sorry, guys, we're having some technical difficulties there. But back to what we were talking about. Talking about what you should do and how you should buy your first hookah. So if you're watching the last stream, German had to step aside because he wanted to be social and meet new friends. All you females out there who are single, Lord Sernaz is your man. He's very direct and he's, just a lovely man. So lovely. He's one of my bestest friends in the whole wide world. But back to what we were talking about. There are several different kinds of hookahs you should buy. Like, for example, if you're buying something for your first hookah and you want to have something, pretty chill, something you can easily keep stored, I suggest getting a Sahara or maybe even a Mia, like this Mia Quart hookah, which we have here set up with the B2 Reaper, which is actually kind of cool. They come with their own little bowls. This one came with a Vortex bowl, as we can see, real deep. It holds about probably, I don't know how much, like 20 grams of tobacco, maybe more. So, and like I said, the great thing about those Sahara stems is that they're really easy. This one happens to be a twist on, which makes it easier. So you're not going to get bad airflow. You're going to have consistent smoke. And for the most part, it's going to be a very great time to smoke. Then you have something that's a little bit bigger. For me personally, I like to sit down, watch a movie, and smoke. And if I have friends over, a small hookah is not going to cut it. So something like the Sahara here isn't gonna fly. You can get hoses. You can get hookahs with multiple hoses. The only problem I have with them personally is that you don't get enough smoke. So either way, you're gonna have to take turns inhaling smoke. So that is another big drawback for having a bigger hookah. So if you're going to get something a little bit bigger and you want friends over, I suggest getting something like a KM or even a flare. This one here is my flare hookah. I've had it for about a year. No, a little close to 2 years now. What I like about it still has an original Egyptian design. It has the purge valve right here, and it has a single hose port, which is actually great. You can get attachments where you can add an extra hose, but that's not necessary. Personal being, because you want to make sure you're enjoying your smoke at all times. And having more than one person inhale smoke, unless you're smoking out of a glass hookah, you're not going to get that kind of feel. So there's that. And if you weren't paying attention to the last video, we were smoking lemon mint out of a Hookah John red clay funnel bowl here. And we're smoking out of the B2 Reaper out of the Mia Quart. We now dubbed him as the Blue Beetle. Which is perfect. So for this kind of set situation, because I'm not able to film in my studio because I don't have the proper editing equipment and my camera is not really linking to my computer. So making videos per bi-weekly or weekly like I used to gets a little bit difficult. So a live stream once a week is probably what we're going to be doing for a while. In this case, we are talking about different kinds of hookahs and what you should buy. This question actually came to me from a buddy of mine who moved to Cincinnati, and he was thinking about buying a new hookah, which he already did, but he asked my input. So I wanted to make sure I covered all the grounds, and we're talking more about what you should do when buying your first hookah. As we already described, both of these work for a great personal experience. One is bigger, so you can actually enjoy a smoke and watch a movie with some friends here in your living room. Outside, if you're just all chilling out there, if you can't smoke indoors. And then you have the aesthetically pleasing one like the Mob hookah here. And Mob hookahs got a bad rep because of a couple things that happened on a couple of forums on Facebook. So we're not going to touch too much on that because I want to stay away from hookah drama, although it was very entertaining. I actually had a good 20 minutes reading of what was going on, and it's pretty good. But that's neither here nor there. Speaking of Mob hookahs, there's also great Egyptian designs they have as well, considered by the Cloud King, and which brings me to the point of the Cloud King. When you're buying a bigger hookah, as we can see here, there's going to be a lot of rumble because this down stem right here, the ball, as you can see, it doesn't have a diffuser. What the diffuser does actually keeps the rumble and doesn't. God, that gets heavy after a while. I didn't want to break it. But the diffuser keeps the rumble down and it makes sure it doesn't move as much, which is actually a really good thing because the one thing I personally hate is when a hookah's smoking and then a coal falls off. That is one of the most annoying things that has ever happened to me personally, and it drives me insane. But guys, if there's anyone going to log into the chat today, we already had one question in right before the last video had some technical difficulties. We're going to call it that. But when you're having a budget, hookahs are expensive. Smoking hookah is an expensive habit. So we really got to keep in mind what we're spending. If you have a budget of, say, in some cases, $100, $100 or less, or maybe up to 120 after taxes, which is great because a lot of hookah websites actually have starter packs which come with a KM hookah, which will stand about 1.5 to 2 feet, if I remember correctly, flavor, a hose, and a bowl. So that's if you're balling on a budget and you want to just get into it and you want to kind of start where to look. I suggest Hookah Junkie, Hookah John. They have some great starter packs to go along with them. Hookah Junkie has theirs for, I think, $85 or more, if I remembered correctly. So they actually have a lot of different things that come with a box of coals, some shisha, and a hookah, which is actually a really good thing to buy, especially if you're just trying to keep low on budget and you want to make sure, because not everyone can afford $120 for a hookah like this. And if you haven't seen my video on the B2 Reaper that I did last week, be sure to look at that video. I'll leave a link in the description below to really see and my personal thoughts on it. So now that we're having all this lovely people not logged into the chat right now, which is okay. It's fine. I'm not very popular, but I'm already over that. So the point is, you want to make sure you keep in budget. If you have a budget of, say, $200 to $300, then there's a lot more open for possibilities. For example, if you wanted to get a, I think it was, I forget where it was, but I saw a Regal Prince hookah setup, which is a medium-based hookah, clear vase, and the wood carving on that. It's not diamond wood, so it's not one of the more expensive ones, but it is a solid hookah for about $200, which is actually really great. I don't know if most people, for those in the hookah community, you know how much the price of a Regal is. But if you are not part of the hookah community and you're wondering what the hell a Regal is, Regals are one of the more expensive hookahs, but they have amazing draws. I was able to go to the Hookah Expo Worldwide 2018 in August, and I got to smoke out of a few Regals, and dear God, they are beautiful. In pictures, they don't seem that special, but when you see them in person, they're one of the most beautiful hookahs you can ever see. It's a beautiful pipe, especially the diamond woods. Oh my God, I need a diamond wood in my life. But that's more or less the same. Lord Cernaz is leaving us. We miss him already. Remember, ladies, he's single. You want to know more? I'll be sure to DM me and I'll tell you all his info. Social security number, address, personal email accounts, and passwords. I actually have his Hulu logged into my computer, and we're going to abuse it. Junk out of that. Don't worry, German. I'll see you at the gym tomorrow. 5 o'clock. I'm getting in shape because it doesn't look like it, but I've actually gained a lot of weight since I've lived on my own because I can eat whatever I want.
You're a fucking fat fuck, bro.
Gotta love German. He forgot his charger. Thank you, awkward silence. Isn't it grand? Anyways, guys, there's a lot of different options when buying hookahs. I can personally tell you when I first started smoking hookah all of 7 years ago, I must have spent about $100 on my first rig, and it was a Pharaoh hookah, and it had a beautiful design. It had a Pharaoh on the base. It had one of the cone bases, so it was a Chinese-made hookah, I believe. I could be wrong. Don't fact check me on that. But nonetheless, it was actually a really good hookah, and it lasted me a good amount of time. I was stupid enough to clean it with boiling hot water and then dump it in cold water. And then I cracked it. And then I realized that's not a smart idea. And then we went around looking for a new hookah. We spent about $100. And that hookah, it was a Premier hookah, so that hookah didn't last me very long either. But as I got older and as I started getting more into hookah, there's a lot more out there than you would think. For example, there is See, now that I'm thinking about it, all of them are kind of leaving out of my way. There's KM hookahs, which if you go to a hookah lounge, which most places use, there's Starbuzz has their own line of hookahs, all American made, which are fantastic. They have the Challengers, the Atlantis, and the Challenger 2.0 hookahs, not to mention the new carbines. And if you were to buy a carbine, that's about $200-300, and that's some real money right there. So there's a lot out there that you can buy. So when buying a hookah, you need to really figure out where you're going to smoke. In this case, we're in our kitchen. Well, not our kitchen, my kitchen. And if I want to edit or I want to be on the computer or have a snack or just not be on the couch and sit here in my kitchen, having a smaller hookah like the Sahara or the B2 works perfectly. But then again, when we want to have people over, we want to make sure we have enough space, like on the couch, have enough space for all of us to sit down, smoke, have a conversation. That's when we start using the bigger hookahs. In this case, KM, flares, mob hookahs, if you're into that. I have personally, I have about, I want to say three mob hookahs because I have the H2O Go as well, which is, I actually don't have it with me. It's in upstairs in my room, but it is a very nice hookah. It is about yay tall. It fits in my glove compartment. And if I want to smoke at work on my lunch breaks, I can. What have I done it? I'm not going to disclose because my boss could be watching this and he might get mad. But nonetheless, there's a lot of different ways so you can sit down and enjoy some smoke. Other than that, I mean, I don't know how else to explain it. Like, everyone has their own budget, so that's why I was explaining different hookahs and what I bought personally here, and that's why it's also really important to know your budget. If you're thinking about buying a hookah and you want to get top of the line stuff, I mean, B2s, MIGs, Regals, Sheikah hookahs, there's a lot out there, and there's a lot of different things to, try out. But if you're a regular Joe and you're just thinking, hey, I was at a party and I really like smoking hookah and I want to get started, these are real things you need to consider. Because granted, not everyone has the budget for an expensive hookah. Not everyone has the luxury of having enough space to even set one up. So knowing where you're going to set one up is key. Like I said, in this case, we're smoking in my kitchen, so the smaller tabletop hookahs work perfectly. And they have plenty of tabletop hookahs out there. You can get a glass lavu. You can also get an arc hookah, which is I forget what the material is, but it is a box. And they look beautiful. They don't have a lot of drawbacks. You can get a Cloud Micro, which is another tabletop hookah, and it's actually really done well. So there's a lot out there. So really, it just kind of depends on what your budget is and what you really want your hookah to do for you. It's just like buying anything else. You go shop around, you look at it. For example, when you go out and buying a car, you're not just going to go to a dealership and buy the first car you see. No, you kind of want to compare the apples to apples. So say like a Honda Civic and a Toyota Corolla. You want to see what each one does and what personally does for you. So it's the same thing like buying a hookah. You want to make sure you get the hookah that works for you and the way you want to smoke. So in this case, you want to sit down in your room and you can't have anything too big. One of the smaller hookahs are going to work for you. A starter hookah, for example, could be a Mia court-based hookah. Those are decent pipes. Like I have obviously we have mine, which we replaced the stem with a B2, but they're available, they're affordable. A lot of lounges and smoke shops sell them for a good amount of money. So I mean, they're not too expensive. They're about $40-50 depending on where you look. This Sahara was about $50. This was inexpensive as well, which is also a really good attribute to when buying a hookah. You want to make sure it stays in your budget. So like I said, not all of us have $200-300 to drop on hookah. I mean, after a while, yeah, we might want to buy a more aesthetically pleasing looking one, or one that is made out of better material, or you want to get like Hookah Chef have a 3D printer hookah, which was really nice. And if you remember, and you went to the Hookah Expo Worldwide, he is the champion of the hookah battle, and we hope to see him again next year at the hookah battle, if they're even going to have a hookah battle. I mean, let's face it, yeah, they are. It's just what's going to happen. So the reigning champion is going to have to defend his title. Speaking of the Hookah Expo Worldwide, did you guys know that it's going to be August 3rd and 4th in 2019? Well, if you haven't, now you do, and your boy, the Hookahologist, is going to be there. I'm already excited, and I already put my days off request so I can go, which is going to be a fun time. I really enjoyed it last year, and if you didn't see me last year, well, you probably saw me, but you probably didn't pay attention to my YouTube channel, which is okay because I'm just now getting more subscribers. And if you're watching this, be sure to like and subscribe and ring that bell for notifications so you can keep up to date with all new live videos that I'm going to be doing. Guys, there's not a lot. It's really not rocket science. You know, it's basic shopping when you're looking for hookahs. That's what I want to, say the most. It's not the most dramatic thing ever. It's not going to be a life or death decision if you get the wrong hookah. Everyone has their own preferences, honestly. If you want to get a mob hookah, go ahead and get a mob hookah. You want to get a KM hookah to start off with, get a KM hookah to start with. There's a lot of judgment between people, and it's always someone's personal preference. If you like the way the AK-47 looks and you want an AK-47 hookah, get yourself an AK-47 hookah. Personally, I do not want that one. Do not, because, well, they don't look that appealing to me. When I saw the Cloud King, I was ecstatic, and I got myself a Cloud King. You can see it in the corner right there, that purple stem. Was it? No, it's a rose stem. It's supposed to be purple, but let's face it, it's rose. But if you wanted to get a gun hookah, go ahead and get yourself a gun hookah. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, no one tells you what to buy. You buy stuff because it looks great for you. If you're balling on a budget and you want to start getting a hookah, like I said, get a Mia, get a package deal at Hookah Junkie, for example. Get a KM with Sisha, Coles, and everything else, which is also works perfectly. And we'll get into different kinds of bowls and stuff like that later on. Or if you want to learn more, be sure to watch other hookah YouTubers like myself, like Strictly Sisha, Smoker Pass, Hookah Chef, only Matt Desmond, or is it Matt Desmond on YouTube? I forget. No, you know what? It is Matt Desmond on YouTube. It's only Matt Desmond everywhere else because it's only Matt Desmond. But anyways, that's all that I really have for you in these 2 videos. If you paid attention and loved Lord Sir Nas and you'd like to know more about him, please let me know because he's hilarious. Other than that, guys, that's all I have for you today. Be sure to follow me on Instagram. Well, hi there, Joe. How are we today? We got our first, or technically our second viewer here. How's it going, buddy? If you're into a very nice discussion about when buying your first hookah, I may have repeated myself a lot, and I probably got off topic a lot, but it's okay. That's what live streams are for. So we can look back, laugh, and then just say, hey, we're probably not going to let him do a live stream anymore. But it's all right because I control my own channel. Joe, are you smoking tonight, Joe? I would like to know. You got any questions for me? That's also something I'd like to know because I like answering questions. No one really asks me anymore. Just because when I go to hookah lounges, they already know. They're like, oh, we already asked Tommy all of his questions. So we're just going to leave him alone now. What are you smoking, Joe? I want to know. I'm smoking Lemon Mint by Fumari. Oh, it's a little harsh. Gotta fix this. Bad Manajama. What I don't like about smaller hookahs, they do get a little harsh. But although I think this is... Mine's green. What, do you have a B2? I have a blue one. Could you see it? Is it blue? Oh, yeah. Oh, I don't even want to lift it. It's actually really, really heavy. Hold on. Man, that's harsh. I must have been smoking this for like 5 minutes and not even realizing it was harsh. I just think that this... No, it's still good. This bowl was actually just not done, but the sisha that I have is actually just kind of old. What I don't like about getting hookah from smoke shop, getting sisha from smoke shop, sorry, it's not always the freshest, which kind of sucks. But at the same time, well, what could you do? You know, when you're waiting on flavor, you're waiting on flavor. But Joe, do you have any questions for me here when buying a first hookah, or is there anything you'd like to chime in? Because I think knowing when buying a first hookah is very important for someone who's, just getting into hookah and stuff like that. So it's always a great thing to know and ask other people, what do you do when considering buying your first hookah? Because I think about budget, I think about where I can smoke, and I think about who's going to be smoking with me. Because sometimes I smoke alone, which is a lot of the time, but at the same time, I actually like having people over with me. Why I have multiple hookahs for multiple different purposes. Either Joe's typing something really profound, or I'm talking to dead air. I really don't know anymore. But still, like I said, that's what I really consider when I'm buying my first. When I bought my first hookah, I had to think about where I was going to smoke it. At this point, my mom, when I was living with her, she was okay with me smoking indoors as long as I had windows open. I had a big enough room to have a bigger hookah set up, but I also did like smoking outside, by a fire pit. That was always the best. I personally think when you're having a bonfire and there's a hookah set up, it's always just such a. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate that. It's always nice to sit down, smoke, and have a conversation. That's what hookah is really about. It's a social aspect. It's not just a solo thing like smoking anything else. It's really the people you are around, which is great. Personally, I like to surround myself with good friends all the time, like my buddy Isaac, Lord Sernaz, and then anyone else at one of the hookah lounges I go to. My boy Nico, he's great. I love hanging out with him, although he is kind of he's a loose cannon. That's what he is, a loose cannon. But Joe, you catching me right here at the end. Like I said, I already got through a lot of the stuff I was talking about throughout the pod. Why do I keep calling this a podcast? It's not a podcast. Throughout the live video about what you should do when smoking a hookah or when buying a hookah. Smoking a hookah is pretty simple. You pack it all in there. You have normal packs. You have fluff packs. You have all this kind of stuff. I'm a fan of the kind of just throw it in their method, because at the same time, like, yeah, you can have all these different kinds of packs, but there's nothing better than just kind of throwing it in there and having everything inside. Well, guys, that's the end of my live stream. Next week, we're going to be talking about something a little bit different from my live stream. I'm trying to figure out a perfect time to do it. Last week, I did it at 7. This week, I'm doing it a little bit later at 9. So once I figure all the statistics, these first couple live videos are going to be, if you saw the first half of the live video, a little bit hectic. But that's what live streams are for. They're about all the spontaneous actions that happen. But that's all I have for you guys today. Until next time, keep smoking.